What's up, guys? This is Jose. You're watching Blazted Network.
Horizon got that sauce, boy.
I was born in Mexico. I was born in a little town called Comala, Colima, Mexico. I came to the U.S., I believe, around 3 years old. Yeah, we came to the Valley straight to North Hollywood. And I was pretty much raised in North Hollywood up until maybe about 3 years ago now that I moved down to the West Hills, Canoga Park area. The high school I went to was North Hollywood High School. And then I transferred out of there and went to Jack London Continuation School. In high school, the type of person I wasn't really too, I was kind of a dick, you know. I think I went through like this little phase and shit, but yeah, I was cool. I was cool, you know. I thought I was cool and shit, but I definitely know that I kind of was like a little bit mean to some people, you know. In high school, I was really into skating, bro. Like skating, that was the main focus, you know. All my homies, we were trying to be pro skateboarders and shit, but that and then that led up to like graffiti and shit. That was pretty much what we were focused on in high school, really. Graffiti introduced me to a bigger expansion of art, but in retrospect, I kind of was involved with art at an early age. I never was really the type to sit down and draw for hours on end, but I was kind of naturally gifted with that skill to draw well. So, yeah, I think like 5, 6 years old, I picked drawing up. I remember my mom, she would take me to the grocery store with her, and at the grocery store, there was this Dragon Ball Z tracing book. So I used that to kind of get into that kind of art scene. And then gradually I just, from tracing to kind of just freehand off the memory and shit like that. Art at that time was more so just like for fun, kind of a hobby. I never really was set on being an artist or anything in that, you know, realm, but it definitely sparked like an interest in different types of art. Shit, after high school, I didn't even graduate. I had transferred from North Hollywood High School to Jack London, and right there I just kind of just left, you know. At that time I wasn't really doing too well, so you know I was kind of like involved in drugs and like I was just in a bad spot, bro. So I was like struggling to find a job, and then my mom, she's kind of higher up in like Carl's Jr. She's like a district manager and shit, so she plugged me in with the job at Carl's Jr. And I was there probably about like maybe a year, but in that year I went from like a cashier to like a manager for a store. So I guess I was good at what I did, you know, but that was really my only real job. I did construction for like a week and I was like, fuck that. Like I'm not, you know, hell no. But yeah, I stayed at Carl's Jr. for like about a year. Tattooing, I came across tattooing really like around 14 years old. My cousin at the time, he was trying to like fuck with it. And I was like, hey, let me check it out, or, you know, tattoo me and shit. And he was like, yeah, we kept prolonging it and shit because he didn't really want to tattoo me, and I was 14 years old. But I remember one day I hit him up. I was like, hey, bro, I want you to do my mom's name. I hit him up, and he was like, you know what? The homie who, like, actually tattoos is here, and he's doing fucking tattoos for, like, $20. His name was Sonny. He tattoos still now. Actually, he did my daughter's name on my eyebrow. Shout out to homie Sonny. But I pulled up to their crib, and for like $20, bro, he did my mom's name on my chest, and that was my first tattoo I ever got. Like 14 years old. Yeah. So that was a pretty crazy experience. I I swear it didn't even hurt, man. Like now that I'm older, I can't fucking take tattoos. You know. When I got the tat, I I hit it probably for like about like a good year, and then we went to the doctor. Um, and the doctor was like, "All right, like take your shit off," you know. And I was like, "Fuck." I was like, "Man, my mom's about to see this. She about to whoop my ass in here." And I took my shirt off, and she gave me like, man, the craziest stare I ever seen her have. I was like, "Fuck." And she's just like, "We'll talk when we get home." And right there, I was like, "Damn." I got like grounded. She beat my ass. Like, took the PlayStation away, everything, bro. Shit, that shit was crazy, man. I actually started tattooing in high school. I think I was like 16 going on 17. And I asked my cousin to buy me like oh no, actually he gave me his like hand-me-down machines from like the swap meet, But I tried it out. I kind of got in trouble for it. It was a whole big deal, so I ended up like just putting that shit away. Didn't really like pick it up again after that. I got in trouble because I tattooed some chick, and she had brought me like this whole little fucking paper with her mom's like signature saying it was cool and everything. And all I did was like a pair of lips, a pair of fucked up lips, But that's all I did. But I think it was more of the placement because I did it on her neck. And she came the next day with her mom to my house, and she was tripping. I was tripping too. I was like, "Damn, what the fuck?" I was like, "What do you want me to do?" She gave me $20. You want me to give you the $20 back? She made me like throw away my machines in front of her, and like, yeah, she said all this bullshit about like calling the cops, this and that. This is illegal, but yeah. So I threw all my machines in front of her, and I was like, there, and she was happy with that. That was that. So after that I was like, man, like fuck that, I won't even try that shit no more. After that, out of high school, I picked up tattooing again. Um, I had quit Carl's Jr. and I was just like in a hole even more. Wasn't working, wasn't really providing nothing for their house. Um, so uh, I remember I was like really heavy into graffiti at that time, and I got like pretty much busted. Thought I was going to jail, all this type of shit. The cops like they basically caught me like red-handed, you know. Um, Bro, the cop chased me for like 4 blocks. I was gassed out. I was like, fuck. I had stopped and this motherfucker tackles me. I'm like, bro, I stopped. And he's like, yeah, but you made me run already. That shit was crazy, bro. But I remember like fucking at that point I was like, man, like I really need to do something. And all this shit's going through my head. Like I'm handcuffed sitting on the ground and the cop like gets a call and there's like a shooting down the street. So they're like, hey, it's your lucky day. And they let us go. Well, they let me go because the homie had already dipped. But after that, I was like, you know what? I still want to do something with art. I really want to, I don't want to fucking work this 9 to 5 type of shit. Having to like, do all that shit. So I picked it up, basically telling my baby mama like, hey, like I know you're the one working. She was the one working right now. Kind of giving my mom bread for like rent, groceries, shit like that. And I was like, I know, you got a little bit of bread. Like, you think you could, buy me a tattoo kit? I want to kind of pick it up again and make that, see what happens with that. And nothing was like promised or really nothing. I just basically told her like, I want to pick it up again. And then like a week later, I come home from like chilling with the homies, and like there's a kit right there on the bed. So I was like, what? Like, oh shit. She was like, you can tattoo me. And right then and there, I was like, all right, like, let me try this shit out. And I kind of just picked it up again. And from there, it was just like a snowball. And here I am now. learning tattooing was kind of like a roller coaster ride for me. I'm self taught. Everything I know, I've learned pretty much on my own. I never had really mentors or anything like that. I've had coworkers who have kind of given me advice, kind of guided me in the right direction, but I never was like an apprentice or anything like that. I think I had like 3 or 4 months when I first tried to go to a shop, and I didn't ask for apprenticeship or nothing because I really didn't. I didn't have no knowledge of tattooing at all, so I didn't know about apprenticeships. I didn't nothing of that sort. I just walked in. I had just like tattooed my arm. I showed the guy and I was like, "Hey, could I work here? I'm trying to tattoo more, this and that." And he was like, "What?" He was like, "No, what the fuck? Like, you suck." And I was like, "What?" Like, I thought this shit was dope, I did like a bullshit ass koi fish on my arm, and yeah, he told me that, and that shit, I was like, "What?" But he ended up giving me a shot because he thought I had a little bit of potential. And I worked at a swap meet in North Hollywood. I was there for a little while, and through that, I kind of just studied. I studied artists who I thought were like the ones at that time. I kind of got into tattooing at like the cusp of like the rawness of tattooing to like how it's been transitioning now. So a lot of the time, I was looking up like older heads. I really looked up to at the time like Anil Gupta, um, fucking Bob Tyrell. Some of the OGs and shit in the in the game. But I think after I saw a little bit of potential, I really applied myself to the craft. So I just kept studying, asking questions. I remember my coworker at the time, he was like tattooing me. Um, and he was like, just ask me questions. Like, I didn't know what questions to ask, but he was kind of like, kind of telling me a little bit as we tattooed, like as he tattooed me and shit. But yeah, I just like, YouTube videos, trial and error, fucking up my homies and shit, fucking up my own self and shit. But that's pretty much, just really dedicated myself to kind of learning this shit. Yeah, so at the swap meet, I was just it was a swap meet, so nothing really too crazy was coming through. I was just a full time artist. Monday, um, Tuesday through Saturday. Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, Monday, they were closed. Oh no, I'm sorry. Monday, Tuesday was closed, and then Wednesday through Saturday. Um, I was there just taking on these little tattoos. People in the Swami, they just want like a fucking little finger tattoo. And I remember like what that shop would go by was like the best prices in the valley. So I would be doing tattoos for like $10 at the time. And it was like I still gotta drop 50%. You know what I mean? Like $10, I'm making $5. But luckily the shop was like providing the needles and like shit like that. Yeah. I was just, right there fucking trying to get it. But yeah, pretty much like anything that would come in, I'd be like, you know what, I think I could do that. Or I'd be like, like I want to try that. Like fuck it, let me try it. And for the most part, I think because of like me studying and like things like that, I never really like fucked up too bad, you know. And this is after like me trying the shading on myself and figuring out tones and shit like that. Um, it was I never really got like a big project though. So at that time, I was kind of doing like whip shading or like packing in black, most of the basic stuff that I was kind of doing okay at. So um, yeah, those walk-ins would just come in and I'd be like, fuck it, I'll do it. $20, $30, whatever. But I was just trying to really just get that experience and get that those techniques down and the mechanics behind like really tattooing and shit. At that shop, I was there like 4 or 5 months. I was there, yeah, like 4 or 5 months, and then the owner, he wasn't an artist. He was just like he was a piercer, and he we kind of didn't really see eye to eye. So shit just ended up kind of sour there, and I ended up leaving and shit. And that's when I got into like my first real street shop. Um, it was a shop called Ink Sessions right there in North Hollywood. My big homie Sal Tattoo. Shout out to homie Sal. Fucking that fool really put a good word in for me. Like I appreciate that dude for real. He kind of was like a stepping stone for where I'm at and shit. Like I learned a lot from him. Work ethic, uh, coils. Like he broke shit down for me, shit like that. But he got me in there, and that's where things kind of just started taking off slowly. More like practice with the walk-ins and shit like that. I got introduced to a little bit more of like the black and gray scene. The owner of that shop, his name is Chris Loke. He was like one of those up and coming guys with like Glare, Mr. Triggs. He was in that little group and shit. So um, he was someone that I really wanted to like learn off of and shit. When I picked up the tattooing, I was doing mostly traditional, and that's because I hadn't found out about the black and gray yet. Um, I was doing most of that type of work at my mom's house, in my room in the garage and shit like that. But um, that shit's really interesting in its own, sense because like you really gotta. That's more of like application than anything. It doesn't have to do with tones or like highlights, shit like that. It's mostly just the mechanics really behind a good tattooer, I believe. Because it shows like you could pack black, you could run a straight, solid line. You know what I mean? Packing color, whatever. Like traditional, I respect traditional, especially like the traditional artists and shit. Because I started off of that, and I was like, fuck, why isn't this line fucking sticking? Like why is this black not like black and like so yeah, I was doing most of that work at my mom's when I like first started. When I found out about the black and gray scene, I remember picking up a couple books from the swap meet, and it was like OG Pints, like Skulls, fucking Bob Tyrell Monsters and shit like that, Bookstars, little Flash and shit. And I noticed that they were doing like the line work and shit, but like packing in those like gray washes and shit. So that really caught my attention because when I sought out to kind of start tattooing, I forgot what it was that I saw, but it was that black and gray. It was that black and gray kind of stuff. But I didn't like start off tattooing with that. Like I saw, I was like, damn, that's dope. It'd be dope to tattoo shit like that. But like I said, I started with the traditional and shit like that. But yeah, I picked up those books, and from there, I remember trying to draw that kind of stuff, and then translating that into tattooing like fake skin or like fucking myself, and really just experimenting with those gray washes. And um, I remember at the time I was like, I thought the way you could do gray washes was like black and gray, you know? Like I was like, oh, it's self-explanatory. Like I mixed black and gray. Like, bro, everything just came out so dark. I even tattooed my own leg, and like that shit is just a mud pile. That's how you learn trial and error and shit, really. Portraits, I started doing portraits specifically maybe 2 years into tattooing. I I was at this private studio. I had left ink sessions because I felt like I was kind of not being able to do the things I wanted to there to kind of grow as an artist. So I went to this private studio, and right there I was just like, fuck it. Portraits, $200, 250, whatever. Like I was just trying to get them in. I had a bunch of friends who were down, so I kind of started through that. And they weren't, no, some of them were bad. I'm not even gonna lie. Some of them were bad, but um, through that I really learned, the technical application with like portraits and shit. Um, 2 years into tattooing, started doing those. And then I really felt like portraits kind of became um, my focal point. Probably like a good 5 years into tattooing, where I kind of was not stressing about doing a portrait. You know, I would I would break down my technique, how I'm gonna apply it, and just um, translate that into tattooing, and just looking at the reference, making sure, oh yeah, like this is cool, like I understand it. Like it's the same as last time that I did it, but it's obviously a different photo and shit. But I got comfortable doing that, like, yeah, about like 5 years into tattooing. I think if you're looking into getting into like doing more portraits, there's a lot that goes into doing just a portrait. Like for me, my process starts when I'm talking to the client. I'm asking, send me a couple photos, whichever ones you think work best. I go through those photos. I make sure that nothing's too blurry. There's enough light source where where I can like manipulate that and translate it into like black and gray. You know, but even then, I'll take the photo, manipulate those highlights, the contrasts, all that kind of stuff into really making it to where I feel comfortable. That I'm like, okay, like I see these tones. There's enough skin break, the contrast. There's depth, things like that. And then I'll, from that, I'll turn it into a stencil. I use Photoshop for the stencil. I kind of use that filter gallery, which makes it like pretty crazy stencil. But I'll go back into my iPad and I'll like erase things or I'll add lines. I kind of really make it like a real like really technical. So that way when I put that stencil onto the skin, I don't really overwork myself in trying to find like, oh shit, like this is where this tone goes or anything like that. And that goes also for like when I change the values and tones in the photo. Um, like there's sometimes I feel like in a photo, sometimes tones are made up. Like there's a light tone here and then there's an even lighter tone than that. So like I'll go into that process of like eliminating those kind of tones to where I'm not like, fuck, is this a tone too? You know? So I'll eliminate that kind of stuff and it just makes it like a lot much easier so you don't overwork yourself during the tattoo. And then you kind of add something that like isn't really supposed to be there, but it's in the photo, so you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna add it, and then it just changes the whole dynamic of the way the portrait looks, But um, yeah, from like the stencil to letting it dry really good, and then when I start tattooing the portrait, I usually start with all my blacks, and I'll map out the eyes, the mouth, the nose, the hair, even the background. I always do the blacks first, just because I feel like if I'm doing the blacks first and I come in with my tones after, and things get a little irritated, I don't have to guess whether or not like that tone is in there, you know, like because of how much like I've worked on the skin already. So from that, and then after the blacks, I'll pack in the tones. I use a lot of like hand pressure. Hand pressure. I ride the needle a lot, but I make sure that when I do tattoo, like I'm not really hitting the skin too much with the needle, but it's more of like a feathery kind of. Yeah, exactly. Um, and I try to just saturate it as much as I can, or once I see that that tone is laid in there, I layer it a couple times, um, and yeah, just kind of do that with the hand pressure. those tones, and then just keep going with that. Some advice I'd give someone to that's trying to get into portraits would probably probably be, I understand you got to try it to really know where you're at. Um, but realistically, I think you yourself can kind of tell like, oh, I'm ready for a portrait. I'm not ready for a portrait. You know what I mean? Um, I think understanding the what goes into making a portrait, saturating the tones well. Me personally, I like that hyper realism look. Like I use a lot of light tones, so I'll try to figure out, you know, the tones in the portrait itself, making sure that I can blend really well. Um, and I'd say probably too, if you're drawing portraits well, you can translate that into tattooing, um, and kind of break it down from the process you have drawing a portrait to tattooing. It's probably not going to be obviously the exact same thing, but when you have those ideas, you kind of understand where to get that blend, where to put those dark tones, light tones, and shit like that. Because me personally, like I said, I like that hyper realism look. So when there's a lot of depth in a portrait, I feel like that makes it look that much better. You know, um, but yeah, I'd say if you're trying to get into portraits, try drawing them first. If they're coming out cool, awesome. Start translating that into tattooing, and don't really get discouraged if the first ones don't come out the way the drawing looks. But really take a step back and try to figure out what it is that you're not, doing that is making the portrait tattoo, not look like you're drawing. I've been tattooing now for a little over 8 years. In tattooing, I want to focus a little bit more on large scale work, just because I want a little bit more of like a creative process when it comes down to tattooing. So I want to work more on like sleeve projects and like full like back piece projects and things like that. Um, even portraits as well, but including things that make it more of like a custom uh, project. Like portraits, and then adding things that kind of add to the whole theme of the portrait, or however, just make it more of a custom design for the client. Yeah, larger scale pieces, things that I can kind of freely come up with, design, things that are not what the people usually would get, you know.
Everyone's getting.
But yeah, yeah, I've 8 years tattooing, man. I've done a bunch of Virgin Marys. You know what I mean? I really want to just kind of tap in more into the artistic side of tattooing. Putting together like things that look like a fucking painting. You know what I mean? Like things that you're walking down the street and somebody's like, oh shit. I feel like I get that now. And I'm grateful for it, but it's just me myself and like a personal kind of stance. I do want to be able to create more like bigger projects with a little bit more of like a freedom to incorporate artistry in. You know what I mean? So the machine I use is a Bishop One, the Packer. I believe it has the 4.2 millimeter stroke. I used to use the shader, but I saw things coming back healed that were a little bit more washed out than I liked, and that Packer kind of has a little bit more of a stronger hit to it. So I still, saturate enough to where it comes back and things are looking just like the way that I plan to. Cartridges, I use Devotion. It's a smaller brand, but I really like them. I really like. I use all bug pins, curve mag. I really like the the longevity of them because I'll be tattooing 7 8 hours on end, and from that first hit to that last hit, I feel like they withstand that that pressure of hitting the skin over and over again. But yeah, Devotion cartridge needles, I really really like them. The ink set that I use is made by Empire, and it's a whitewash series. So it's basically black diluted with white, and it gives me those soft gray subtle tones. That they heal up really nice. Really like there's like a silky look to it. I really enjoy using that. I feel like for the type of tattoos that I like doing, it settles in nice and it gives it a really smooth look in the end. Just enough to where like when it heals and it's 2 3 years down the line, things don't necessarily look too muddy. Like there's still enough black in there that can hold. But those are my tones, starting from like the light to dark tones, and then for my black, I use the Ganga, the dynamic black, mainly because it has more of like a gray undertone. So when it heals, it also has that like gray look to it, but it's black. Um, and then obviously like the Empire, I use the white as well, the Empire whites. Um, and then for my darkest blacks, which I use mainly for background kind of stuff, I use the Pantera, which is like super black. Yeah, it's dark as hell. Yeah, Canna inked. I use that as my glide. I use that as my glide. They have a foam as well that I kind of apply right before I hit the whites. It kind of numbs. It's like an anesthetic foam, so it numbs out the area. But yeah, it's like CBD infused and shit, so it'll bring down irritation and swelling. So I really enjoy using that. It's a really good, especially now. I believe don't quote me, but I believe that this is like their new formula, and I really like it. It's definitely up there with like the bigger name brands that I've used. But I enjoy it, and shout out to them because they sponsor me. So, Canna Ink, check them out if you haven't yet. Yeah, okay. First question is from triple dot 777s. Who is his personal favorite artist? What tattoo on his body is his favorite? I'll answer the tattoo one because my favorite tattoo on my body is my daughter. Both my daughter's name. This one on my eyebrow, and then on the back of my neck, I have my youngest. This is my oldest. My personal favorite artist, man. I have a few favorite artists, but I think the most impactful, that I say kind of has, yeah, basically like impacted, my tattooing career. I'd probably say is Abel Rocha. From the jump, he was kind of like that guy. And out there in the valley, like everybody spoke of him. I was fortunate enough. I met him a couple times now, but early in my career, I was fortunate enough to meet him and kind of get some really kind words from him. I was I think I maybe had a year tattooing, and he was like, no, no. He's like, keep going, bro. Like, you got some good potential. Just stick with it and keep going. And I remember I was like, oh shit, Abel fucking Rocha just told me, like, all right, you know what? Like, I swear, man, from there, I gassed it. I was like, you know what? fuck it, like this is what I'm gonna do. Because a year into tattooing, I wasn't really doing crazy shit. Barely making money and like so he really motivated me to like. So I think forever, I'll probably say Abel Rocha, man. I really got a lot of fucking respect for that guy. He doesn't have social media, all word of mouth. And like I've hit him up for a couple tattoos, and he's like, "Hey, man, like I'm booking for like a few months out," and I'm like, "Oh shit," like that's fucking sick. But yeah, Abel Rocha, man. Tatted Louis, how he markets himself. How I market myself. I mean, it's really just social media. You know, um, social media is probably like the main thing that you can use nowadays. Promotions, um, TikTok, posting, all that type of stuff. But I do like to have like those interactions with random people on the street. I'm that type of guy that like if you have a tattoo, then I'm gonna come up to you. Hey, where'd you get that at? Like that looks dope, cool. Like, hey, you know what? I tattoo. Here's my business card. I'm still like everywhere I go. I'm still like that, 100%. Um, I think you get a couple of advantages from that because you just met the person, off the rip. They get to meet you, not just like an online entity that tattoos, and then you give them their business card and they have that means to go follow you. Like business cards, I think like business cards, stickers, all that type of shit. Like that's stuff that people like randomly will still have. I've had like people come in, or like I've seen people on the street, and they're like, "Oh yeah, like I still have your business card," from like the first ones that I used to make. Um, but I really just try to market myself that way. Social media interactions with people on the street, people I just meet here and there, whatever. Um, yeah, pretty much. Good question, actually. Yeah, that is a really good question.
Shout out to Tatted Louis.
Shout out Tatted Louis. Um, Miss, oh, it's the homegirl Mystical. Did he draw before he started tattooing? Yes, I did draw before I started tattooing, but never really had long sessions of drawing. I was just kind of doing it as a hobby. I draw like little characters, got into graffiti, um, but I never really was like sit down and have a whole graphite set of pencils and draw for hours on end. Um, it kind of just was kind of natural to me. It's what I like to do. That and like skating and shit. She also asked, "Is he self-taught or went through an apprenticeship?" I did. I am self-taught. Everything I know, um, I've poured blood, sweat, and tears into finding out and figuring out. Really, all myself. Didn't really know about an apprenticeship at the time I started tattooing or anything like that. If I could though, I probably would do an apprenticeship, just because I feel like it along my journey of tattooing, I had a lot of bad habits, and with an apprenticeship, you're ready to go off the rip. Tattoo Gallery AJ, what motivates you to get better as an artist? Ooh, that's a cool question. I think um, what motivates me to get better as an artist is um, I think surrounding yourself with those people who also have that same type of mentality. You know, like here at Western, everybody is really striving to just be better. You know, there's some days where I'll catch myself like, oh yeah, like this is coming out sick. I'll go over to the next room and like fucking Ernie's like tattooing. I'm like, damn, that shit looks hard as fuck. And I walk over to Gunner's station and Gunner's fucking killing, big ass piece. And I'm like, damn, like I really got to step it up. But I use that as motivation. I also use um, like self motivation the most because I feel like this isn't it for me. You know, I don't ever want to. I don't care about being like that famous artist or anything like that and shit. You know, but I do hope to one day have um, or be like a staple in the tattoo community. You know, whether it being from like things I've contributed to tattooing or solely because of my work, um, or however it is. But I really want to you know um, have a part in this industry that people can kind of look back on and be like, oh yeah, that dude was dope. His work was sick, but like he did some shit in the community. You know what I mean? So I definitely like try to stay motivated on that end, and then on a personal level, I got two little girls. I got two little girls that I'm trying to build an empire for. They're number one for sure. Like my one motivation to kind of make it. I'd say yeah, number one priority. And then seeing a bunch of fucking dope ass artists. Like we've all paid our dues and shit, but you can't help but to be like, damn, that motherfucker has sick work. I want to get there. Like, what can I do to fucking get there? Um, but yeah, that I'd say probably is what I use to motivate myself, keep myself motivated. Yeah, the Dez tattoo. Is he a wizard? I wish I was a wizard, but I'm not a wizard. Um, Even though that sounds pretty cool, but I'm not a wizard. Jose the Wizard. I'm gonna put that in my bio. Shout out Dez. People can find me at underscore Hozayarts. It's not Hazy. It's not anything like that. It's Jose. Hozay arts underscore on Instagram, as well as TikTok at Hozayarts. And I just made a Twitter. It's also at Jose Arts. You guys can find me there. My number is in my Instagram bio, actually in every bio. If you guys, want to inquire about a portrait or anything, just hit me up and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I suck at replying, but I'll try to get back to everybody as soon as I can. In my tattoo journey, I'd probably like to thank most those people that really didn't believe. I'm not saying I made it or anything like that, but I get to tattoo for a living. I get to like meet these incredible clients that pay me at the end of the day for, obviously like, you know, um, giving them a service and shit. But um, I'd like to thank those people for sure. The people that didn't believe that this was a possibility. Especially from like the background I come from and shit like that. This type of stuff you kind of just pick up as a hobby. The hood tattoo artist, shit like that. Like, but I really I thank those people and then I appreciate them because they shaped me to who I am today. I really hold myself to like a high standard in tattooing, and then in like work ethic. I believe all that should be like very exceptional. And I thank those people because they allowed me to take what that negativity and turn it into like positive energy and be like, man, fuck that, like fuck these people. I'm gonna show them what's up. And yeah, here I am today. I'm enjoying it. I can't wait to see. I feel like this is only the beginning, really. I can't wait to see what tattooing has in store. Shout out Western Ave. Shout out the gang. Shout out my homeboy Reza. My apprentice. He keeps it going here at the shop. And shout out my girls, man. My two beautiful little girls. And shout out the homie Blazted for coming through, man. The show. All right, thank you for watching, guys. We really appreciate it. Come get some portraits, man. Come get some portraits, whatever. Just hit me up.